The never-ending search of wisdom is the less traveled but most rewarding path in our life. Some things are like seeds. We plant them in silence, away from prying eyes, so they can grow and thrive unhindered. This is when the Stoics' wisdom comes into play. They teach us to protect, to nurture inside ourselves without feeling compelled to exhibit it to the rest of the world. Great philosophers throughout history, the Stoics, understood that not everything should be shared. They prized their secrets, their accomplishments, and their teachings because they knew that if they revealed too much of the actual core of things, they would lose them. Every joy and every sorrow, every lesson and every obstacle are components of the tale we create, and if we share everything without thinking, we may cease living truly. Because just as a flower cannot develop if it is continually touched, our growth requires privacy, a place of our own where we may reflect on our mistakes and achievements and determine how to go forward in the best way possible. So when we don't disclose anything, it's not to hide something, but to safeguard it. True progress comes from balancing what we display and what we keep to ourselves. It might be difficult to understand and appreciate what lies beneath our triumphs in a world that loves to flaunt everything. In this video, we'll talk about 11 topics that we recommend you keep to yourself. All of them are significant, so watch till the end to find out why. 1. Don't brag about your accomplishments. Consider delving into the deep, dark seas of your own soul. The quest of wisdom and virtue was analogous to this profound journey for the Stoics. They felt that genuine fulfillment came from reflection and constant progress rather than showcasing external accomplishments. Every difficulty, every conflict was waged in the silent landscapes of the spirit, not in public arenas. They provided us with a profound thought by describing their victories. When ego and vanity are cultivated, they can become impediments to authentic virtue. They said that our concern with outward praise binds us to shackles of pride, enslaving us in the vain quest of transitory plaudits. That path is filled with disappointment. The Stoics, however, taught us a valuable lesson. True success isn't the one that is halted to be applauded, but the one that quietly improves the community, nourishing noble qualities like justice, compassion, and wisdom. Wealth, according to these ancient sages, was gathered in the depths of a balanced and calm soul rather than in vaults. Instead of reveling in victories or lamenting defeats, they adopted a peaceful acceptance of all life's vagaries. They asked us to understand that the dance of existence is accompanied by songs that are frequently beyond our control. We discern a conscious decision, a dedication to actual greatness, in this astounding silence. They think that genuine grandeur is found in living with honesty and committing oneself to the greater good. They left us with the message that the fundamental cornerstones of a life worth living were humility, honesty, and the never-ending search of wisdom. 2. Do not discuss issues that have not been overcome. Every step along the Stoic path to virtue and wisdom was filled with significance. The detours and setbacks were more than just roadblocks. They chiseled the soul, formed character, and taught about the true essence of grandeur. The internal conflicts, which were frequently unnoticed, determined a person's inner strength, not the external success. But why did the Stoics advise against discussing obstacles that were not surmounted if these efforts were so valuable? The solution rests in their keen understanding of human nature. They felt that ego and pride might obscure our perception and cause us to miss real virtue. The constant search of outward acclaim and praise may, in fact, be a curtain that conceals our genuine potential. Stoics did not regard accomplishments that could be shown as prizes with ease. They sought genuine glory via deeds that benefited mankind, acts founded on principles such as fairness, charity, and wisdom. The glow of a morally honest character and a serene soul was their true richness, not the gleam of gold. This idea was founded on the notion of embracing fate. In the face of difficulty, the Stoics did not give up. Instead, they balanced the tastes of success and failure with serenity, knowing that the fabric of life is woven with threads of circumstances that are sometimes beyond our control. 3. Keep your nice actions to yourself. Consider a candle that quietly illuminates a dark room. Its calm, subtle light warms and illuminates everything in its path. Like this flame, kindness for the Stoics. True generosity, they felt, did not need to be declared in public places or shouted from the mountaintops. In essence, it should be a real and modest act, made out of a basic desire to do good without seeking accolades in return. Why would this viewpoint appear unusual in today's self-promotion culture? For a deep reason: the danger of turning compassion into a show, which was recognized by the Stoics. After all, if we gloat about every good deed, we may unintentionally seek the transient pleasure of admiration. Keeping our good activities anonymous allows us a precious period of thought and stop, an intimate connection with ourselves, when we may consider if our efforts were genuine or influenced by other motives. This private self-analysis serves as a stimulus for personal growth. Stoic philosophy holds that real kindness does not seek the spotlight. It reveals itself in modest, honest acts of compassion. This ageless wisdom envelops us in its core and reminds us of a fundamental truth. The greatest act of compassion is frequently the one performed with no expectation of recompense. 4. Don't express your dissatisfaction. Have you ever been imprisoned in an emotional web where each strand represents a sour memory, a grudge that refuses to fade? Stoic wisdom leads us to ponder the intangible weight of resentment in our lives. Resentment, according to these ancient thinkers, was like an anchor that stopped the spirit from floating freely through the seasons of life. But what if we could take a less traveled path, where forgiveness and understanding would be our constant companions? Behind this historical viewpoint is a steadfast emphasis on virtue and self-control. Have you ever carried a heavy weight on your back for an extended period of time? Have you experienced fatigue, tiredness, or resentment? This load is an unseen link that ties us together and limits our freedom and inner peace. It's intriguing to see that animosity frequently stems from misunderstanding and can trap us in a vicious circle of hatred. The Stoics taught us to understand before passing judgment and to examine the sources of others' acts. Forgiveness is much more than just a charitable deed. It is an act of profound wisdom that unlocks the mysteries of the human soul and frees us from the bonds of negativity. Because resentment and fury are quiet poisons, fires that, when nourished, burn our tranquility. By choosing the path of forgiveness and understanding, on the other side, we find an oasis of tranquility and peace. Thus, we are reminded of a universal truth by Stoic wisdom. Forgiveness is the way to our own freedom. It is a lighthouse that guides us through mental storms and leads us to the port of tranquility. By accepting this lesson, we realize that sometimes the greatest power is found in letting go, in breaking free from the bonds of the past and sailing toward a horizon of understanding and peace. 5. Don't discuss your innermost dreams. Consider a rare and fragile seed in the palm of your hand. It symbolizes your deepest hopes and dreams. How would you safeguard it against strong winds and storms that may prevent it from sprouting? The Stoics offer an answer through their profound wisdom. They regarded our dreams and goals as priceless seeds to be sown in the rich depths of our souls, far from the storms of other people's views and criticisms. After all, who hasn't experienced the chill of doubt or the heat of mockery extinguishing the spark of a dream. Self-sufficiency is regarded as a priceless treasure in Stoic philosophy. True wisdom, true accomplishment, is not a chalice to be presented, but rather an inside well from which one can drink at any time. Seeking transitory external praise makes little sense when we may discover richness and significance in the depths of our own imaginations. Stoics realized the nuance that separates healthy ambition from hubris, making them perhaps the quietest and yet most vocal of virtues. Choosing silence about our lofty goals was not an act of timidity, but rather a purposeful decision to walk with humility, avoiding the pride that may blind us. The Stoic tradition speaks to the heart. There is no need to shout our dreams from the mountaintops. Rather, nurture, develop, and watch them bloom in their silent and magnificent grandeur. This precaution is an invitation to recover our inner strength and to appreciate that the most important assets are sometimes those we retain solely for ourselves. Sixth, avoid discussing your next moves. Consider a chess master moving their pieces secretly as their opponents try to figure out their upcoming moves. Stoics followed this path. They recognized that by disclosing every detail of their life, they would be vulnerable to the fickle winds of external judgment, which were frequently filled with criticism, jealousy, and even malevolent intent. The virtue of self-sufficiency is fundamental to Stoic philosophy. Why rely on audience acclaim when actual strength exists in the inner theater of the mind? The Stoics were developing their inner core of confidence, independent of the tides of opinion that flowed around them, by keeping their life tactics to themselves rather than just hiding their goals. This brings us to humility, a subtle yet deep trait emphasized by the Stoics. The disclosure of grandiose schemes might be regarded as a cry of hubris, a triumphal declaration of dominance. They achieved a balance between ambition and humility by adopting prudence, ensuring that their steps were steady but not arrogant. As a result, the Stoic tradition offers us a comprehensive perspective on the importance of concealment. It teaches us that protecting our goals is more than a technique. It is a method of fortifying our being, honoring our self-sufficiency, and walking with humility in a society where external approval appears to be the currency. The Stoics encourage us to look inside, establish our inner compass, and walk our own path with confidence and wisdom. Seventh, avoid discussing your worries and misgivings. Consider yourself in a large forest, where each tree represents a doubt and each shadow signifies uncertainty. Instead of yelling your doubts to the world, you prefer solitary reflection, searching for answers within your own soul. Stoics followed this path. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the recognition that confidence is not a flag to be flown in front of the world, but rather an inner beacon that guides our way. Continuously disclosing our doubts to the public is like exposing a lighthouse to torrential rain. It might slowly extinguish. We discover the stability required to not be affected by the views and judgments of others. Modesty, in turn, is a shield that guards the spirit, not merely an exterior virtue. As a result, bearing all uncertainty might degrade the soul's dignity. As a result, you should carefully pick when and with whom you will reveal your weaknesses. Many people seek solutions in the cacophony of the outside world, but they understand the importance of silence and reflection. Believe that solutions to the deepest questions frequently reverberate in the quiet regions of the heart and intellect. You may promote deeper introspection and a more personal connection with your essence by holding some uncertainty. To summarize, Stoic wisdom offers priceless advice. There's no need to broadcast your doubts to the world during storms of uncertainty. We discover a safe path through the jungle of doubts by embracing silence, modesty, and contemplation, guided by the internal beacon of our confidence and understanding. The Stoics endow us with the power of calm self-reflection and internal confidence. Don't gossip about others. Criticizing others is like to tossing stones into a quiet lake, causing ripples that disrupt the peace. The Stoics recognized that passing judgments and criticisms was a diversion from their own internal mirror and a waste of valuable energy on topics outside their sphere of influence. The Stoics preferred to extend their hand instead of pointing fingers. They steered themselves with empathy and compassion, understanding that each individual is a cosmos filled with internal and external fights, joys and sufferings, wins and tragedies. Criticizing someone else would be a failure to recognize the variety and complexities of the human situation. They also learned that criticism, rather than erecting bridges, frequently erects barriers. The Stoics knew that harsh words and quick judgments did not lead to peace, but rather to division and strife in their pursuit of tranquility and harmony. Stoic wisdom conveys a clear and timeless message. We must protect our words and ideas. Instead of focusing on the flaws of others, let us look in the mirror and seek progress and virtue. In a world where criticism is readily launched, Stoic teachings challenge us to embrace understanding, acceptance, and kindness, casting stones of empathy into humanity's lake and embracing the waves of happiness they produce. 9. Don't talk about your alone time. While many people attempt to fill every moment with stimulation and relationships, the Stoics found strength in solitude. They saw isolation not as a gap to be filled, but as a sanctuary where the mind may dance freely, free from the constraints of other people's beliefs, as well as criticisms. Contrary to popular belief, the Stoics welcomed isolation rather than avoiding it. They did not feel lonely during their retreats, but rather connected to a vast inner cosmos filled with revelations. The deepest ideas occurred in this silence, unpolluted by outside sounds. Stoic philosophy challenges us to reconsider our values in the modern world when social media validation has become a top concern for many. We discover a room for our soul to breathe by breaking away from the incessant demand for exposure. And it is in this profound silence that we discover our essence's symphony, a music that does not need to be communicated but can only be felt in its purity and truth. 10. Don't bring up unlearned teachings. Few things are more universal than errors. We all make mistakes and fail. However, it is in the response to these failures that a person's true character is exposed. The Stoics saw these periods as opportunities for growth and insight rather than despair. Many people in today's culture are under pressure to portray and reject an image of perfection. We celebrate our victories and hide our misfortunes, but the Stoics demonstrate a different way. Accept mistakes not as a sign of weakness, but as a guide to self-improvement. The Stoics were not attempting to avoid their duties or hide from their failures by opting to keep their unlearned lessons private. Instead, they shut themselves away for a profound and intimate period of introspection. Each failure was viewed as a new beginning, a new chapter in the never-ending quest for virtue and wisdom. The Stoics transformed their failures into foundations for progress, just like an artist makes a mistake into an important component of their work. In an age of oversharing and overexposure, the Stoic posture reminds us of the need of contemplation and the dignity of silence. 11. Don't reveal your real intentions. It's a great weapon to understand that you don't have to announce your goals to the world. The Stoics knew something that many of us overlook. Prudence is a strength, not a weakness. Every idea or aim was treated as if it were a precious seed that needed to be cultivated with care and protection. By avoiding premature disclosure of their initiatives, they ensured that they could develop and thrive away from the storms of skepticism, jealousy, or public scrutiny. Stoic philosophy challenges us to reconsider how we handle our objectives in this age of overexposure, where every step is videotaped and shared. It demonstrates that great power is sometimes hidden, not because we are evasive, but because we know the importance of developing our dreams in a secure setting. For the Stoics, silence was not devoid of potential prospects and hope. It was fertile ground for their dreams to blossom unhindered. In the midst of our current era's upheaval, perhaps we might find inspiration in these old sages. We enable our innermost plans to evolve at their own time, free of interruption, by protecting them. And in doing so, we may realize that the genuine magic rests not in what we broadcast to the world, but in what we silently achieve in the depths of our will. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Your help is critical to our ability to continue sharing information and inspiration with everyone. Please offer any content recommendations for future videos in the comments section. We appreciate your feedback, which guides us in our effort to provide you with increasingly rich and meaningful material.